Welcome to Q&A Thursday, where you ask me your questions and I do my best to answer them. This week's question comes from Ruby, and she asks, Erin, I am ready to get started as a VA, but I am overwhelmed. Where can I get started? Okay, Ruby, I love this question. It's very simple, but the answer is complicated. So in this video, I've done my best to distill my 10 top tips for getting started as a virtual assistant. Number 1, when you're thinking about getting started as a VA, I want you to start an emergency fund. I never recommend that people quit their jobs or start virtual assistants without having some sort of emergency savings. That's because it can, not always, but it can take some time for you to find and build up your clients. So let's say you get started, you're gung-ho about it, but you don't find your first client for the first month or two. Could you pay for things like your rent, your mortgage, your utilities, for your kids, for your health insurance, whatever it is that you have? Could you afford that if you didn't have any money coming in for a few months? Most people, the answer is not really, or it makes you feel uncomfortable. So for that reason, I recommend that you start saving, save, and save as much as you can in a rainy day fund. That fund just needs to sit there. You are not to touch that fund. It is for emergencies only. That way you have a safety net. When you start your virtual assistant business, you've got at least some runway where you can work on your business and work on marketing yourself without feeling financial stress. And that is a gift in and of itself. Number 2, I want you to decide ahead of time what services you plan to offer, as well as what services you plan to never offer for your business. Ideally, the services that you land on should be in demand, things that you're good at, and things that you enjoy doing. It is actually not that atypical for new assistants to say, I'll do anything, and then come to find out they hate doing accounting or bookkeeping services. But oops, you already told your client that's what you offer, and that's what you're stuck doing. As a VA, you have this awesome golden opportunity to build a business you love, doing things you love. So really think about the things that you like to do and what you want to offer in your business before you tell clients you can do it. Number 3, when you're getting started, I want you to clearly define your business to your friends and family. A lot of people overlook this step. The truth is, we're not pitching your friends and family. I don't necessarily want you to go to your mom and say, can you please hire me? But what I do want you to do is clearly say to friends and family, hey, I provide X services to Y clients. If you know anyone or hear of anyone who could use my services, send them my name. This is an awesome way to get your first client. That's because your immediate network wants to see you succeed. And if they know what kind of services you're offering, they are absolutely likely to tell a friend or mention it in passing. I can't even tell you how many times I've mentioned to a friend or family the work that I do, and a month down the road, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, a friend might call me up and say, hey, I met somebody at a dinner who mentioned they're looking for a virtual assistant. Are you open? This is a great way to plant seeds for future growth. Number 4, start thinking right now about ways that you can differentiate yourself from other virtual assistants. There is an increased number of VAs for sure. I mean, the pandemic has saw a huge increase in freelancing, and that can be a good thing, but it can also make differentiating yourself or finding your own niche a little bit harder. However, there are a ton of different ways that you can niche yourself from other virtual assistants. You can find different clients that you focus on. You can focus on different industries that you want to work with. You can focus on different services that maybe fall out of the more general admin types of things. So for example, one of my niche services is luxury travel for CEOs. So these are just a couple things that you can kind of differentiate yourself from, let's say, a VA who just does general travel booking. Number 5, I want you to think about your boundaries ahead of time. So setting things up like your business hours, when you start, when you finish, setting your rates, the types of clients that you do or maybe don't want to work with from the get-go are going to save you a lot of headaches down the road. That's because it's important to know what it is and how you want to run your business, because if you just start working with a VA, with a client, and you're like, you know what, I'll work on weekends, and then a month down the road, you're like, wow, working on weekends sucks, I hate it. It might feel jarring to a client if you're changing things about your business on the fly. So just having a better sense for the type of business you want to run or how you want to run it is pretty crucial to make sure that clients are happy and have clear expectations of what it will be like to work with you. Number 6, start small. Aim to have one client before adding more to your Rolodex. You will quickly learn with this first client what your ideal day looks like, what your ideal workflow looks like. Do you like having lunch in the middle of the day? Do you like to take breaks in the afternoon? Do you need to get your kids from school? Do you have extracurricular activities in the evening? Or like what's working well, what's not working well? Basically, once you're comfortable, once you feel like you've worked out the kinks of your business and you're like, yeah, I got this. I have a better understanding and feel for like how I like to run my day, then it's time to add more clients to your repertoire. It can be super hard if you, let's just say by chance, you fall into like 4 or 5 clients, bam, back to back, you get a ton of new clients. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, I really actually don't know how to manage 5 clients to-dos because I've never done this before. So I always recommend starting small because you'll get your footing, you'll find what's working before adding more people. It's a simple tip, but it's a good tip. I recommend establishing a work-life balance right from the get-go. I struggled with this the most when I started freelancing, and I was totally overworked, and I was so burned out, I nearly quit my first year into virtual assistants. That's because I hadn't yet created any systems where I could actually shut my work brain down, because when you work from home, it's really easy to be like, oh, it's 8 p.m. I'm not doing anything. Let me just check my email and answer some work emails. It's too easy to be like, it's a Saturday, I'll just do some work. And it's inconsistent. It's really easy to all of a sudden be like, wow, I'm working around the clock from 9 p.m. at night into 7 in the morning. So that's not what we want to establish. What we want to establish instead is a routine where you can still have a life. So what I do at 5 p.m. is I close my laptop and I don't check my emails until 9 o'clock the next day. It's just simple things like that can help you really separate your work from your personal life so that you still have a life, even if you were working and living in your same space. Was that tip number 8? I've lost my count. Another tip is that I want to remind you that as a VA, you are a bona fide business owner. And that is cool, but it's shocking how many people forget that when you're a VA, you're a business owner, babe. The thing is, you need to get really good about doing some of the business ownery things that you need to do. This is like you're in charge for sending invoices. You're in charge for making sure that you get paid on time. You're in charge for doing your own marketing. You're in charge for making sure that your bookkeeping, like your income and your expenses, that things that you're spending on your business, you're in charge of all that. So it's really time for you to flex your management muscle. I don't want you to be intimidated. But I do want you to be aware that being a virtual assistant is client facing, but you also are a business owner and you are going to spend a lot of your time doing back end office kind of stuff too. Tip number 9 is get involved with the VA community online. The VA community is a helpful bunch. We love to help newbies. It is probably one of the most awesome communities I've had the pleasure of working with online. We often don't see new VAs as competition. We see you as partners. At least that is true for me. You are my partner as much as I am your partner. And if I can't take on a client, I will absolutely pass client information or client opportunities on to other VAs if I think it will be a good fit. And you'll find a lot of people feel that way. So get involved with them right from the get-go. Introduce yourself, introduce the types of services that you offer, ask questions, answer people's questions. Being that helpful resource will really help you get more involved and can lead to more work down the line. And then my last tip is the most crucial and perhaps the most surprising. Don't get stuck on the hamster wheel of self-education. I cannot tell you how many people I have met who have been learning how to be a VA for 3 years. We're talking years. It is really easy to constantly tell yourself like, all right, I have one more ebook to read. I've got one more course to take. I've got one more YouTube video and then I'm going to do it. I'm going to feel brave. The truth is there's always going to be something that you can learn. There's always going to be something that you can watch to make yourself better. But don't discount your talent. Don't discount your work. I want you to start working with a client, because working on the job is honestly the best kind of experience you can hope for. Working with a client is going to teach you more than any course ever will. So yeah, if you feel like you have to take a course so you better understand what types of skills you can offer or how to maybe manage expectations with clients, take those courses, but don't become that person who all of a sudden has 20 courses to take and you're spending a year dedicating to education. There's a fine balance, my friends, and you've got to find that fine line. So that's my last tip. Once you have your fundamentals of your business squared away, like your hours of operation, your pricing, services you're going to offer, you're ready to go, and I want you to get started. Don't be afraid to dive in. So those are my top 10 tips for somebody who's looking to get started as a VA in 2022. Thank you so much for sending that question in. And if you guys have any questions, as always, leave me a comment here, shoot me an email, find me on social media. I am happy to answer your questions that you send. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me on this week's video, and I'll see you on the next one.